Hello and welcome back to What's Next. It's the Indy NXT Oval Series from the Kansas Speedway here tonight for week number 11 of 12 in this inaugural season of Indy NXT Oval here on P1. Here with the top split with a strength of field of just over 3,701 to be precise. And we'll be taking you through tonight's action for the penultimate round here in Indy NXT Oval competition. And we're going to take a quick gander at the point standings as we're getting down to the wire here. You've got Indy Kirkwood leading on 1,476 points. Just behind him is Dylan Wylazinski on 1,444. Chris Wetz on 1,410. Bolgren on 1,354. Chris Fletcher rounding out the top five on 1,221. The rest of the top 25 you can see on screen here. A number of notable drivers we've seen throughout our coverage here on P1, the likes of Aaron Likens, Ty Keela, Kyle Clinworth, James Watson, Tyler D. Villamere, and company. Many of here are them in the field tonight, looking to put on a show here in America's heartland. We're going to get into qualifying here shortly. We'll get up the timing tower. Ready for a 40-lap event here from Kansas. Be a 60-mile affair, given that this is a mile-and-a-half track. The second to last in which we will visit this season, including our season finale next week at Homestead, Miami. Another 1.5 miler to round out the season, bring season one off into the sunset. We're going to head out with Chris Fletcher as he gets out onto the course. There's Chris. We'll get in the cockpit with Chris here. Got another Taylor Thurman fan in the chat here tonight. Welcome on in. Right, nice and low here. Across the start-finish line for the first lap, I believe, for Chris. He sets a 24.433. Looks like that's going to be his time here tonight. Andrew Hamilton to the top of the board. Looks like we're looking at low 28-second lap times here. We'll hop out with another car heading onto the speedway. We'll head out with Kyle Clinworth. I believe he'll be logging his first lap here in qualifying. Road racing driver piloting our number one machine here tonight. I believe there will be 18 cars in contention for the victory here tonight. Clinworth sitting on 5,527 iRating, down to, I believe that's going to be Raul Mendizabal on 2,910. So good opportunity for some new faces to show what they got here in Indy NXT competition through the closing weeks of the season. Clinworth currently sitting 10th on the board. We'll see if this second lap is a bit faster for him. He'll hop down to the apron. 28.488 for Mr. Clinworth. That'll put him good enough for 6th. We'll hop out with our points leader, Andy Kirkenbauer. Vote of racing driver looking to put on another solid qualifying effort. That's a big case as to why he's a current points leader. Starting near the front of these races has proven to be a key asset each and every week here, regardless of the track. Indy's going nice and high here on the first lap, likely going to try to build as much speed as he can onto that second lap. Give it all it's worth around the 1.5 mile Kansas Speedway. Here he comes for lap number 2. He's going to hold it nice and low here. Bit of a bobble into turns 1 and 2 here. Trying to stay nice and tight on that white line. He's going to head down the back straightaway here. Roll across the start-finish line. Where does that put Mr. Kirkwood? That'll put him 5th, 28,384. A little over 0.05 of a second separating him from the pole time here tonight. So we have run out of... Actually, we got Wylazinski. He's second in the points. He just set the fastest lap of the night. His second lap, 28.286. I believe that's going to be one of the last cars to set a time, so we'll actually hop outboard with Mr. Wylazinski here. So this will be our final broadcast here on P1 this week. Want to thank everybody for tuning into our coverage of a double-double, if you will. We had a doubleheader between Next and Open IndyCar at Barber last night, and we're having another double-double here tonight at the Kansas Speedway. Ty Keela, fresh off the top split victory, his first in IndyCar Oval Fix competition. And we've got ourselves a grid for this Indy NXT Oval Series race, and we'll see if all 18 of these drivers can make their mark here on the race tonight. So it will be Dylan Wylazinski leading the field from the pole here. The number 5 car, Get Good Racing Machine, will line up alongside of Andrew Hamilton in second. Jason Goodman will line up third alongside Taylor Thurman in the number 15 in the 4th spot. I'm sure we got a lot of people looking forward to Thurman's run here tonight. Chris Wetz will line up in the 5th spot alongside Indy Kirkwood, the current points leader here in Indy NXT Oval Series competition. John Corwin will start 7th. Chris Fletcher will line up 8th, with Kyle Clenworth of Rogue Racing fame will be in 9th alongside Matt Glenn in the 10th spot. Ryan A. Brown will line up 11th alongside Rogue Racing's Ty Keela, fresh off that victory here earlier tonight. Crash Neon will line up 13th alongside Rogue Racing's Brian Campbell in the 14th spot. Tyler D. Villamera making another appearance in Indy NXT competition here on P1. He'll line up 15th. Raul Mendezabal will be 16th, 18 car of our 18-car field here tonight. Alongside, or behind him will be Brent McClendon and Jesse Baker lining up 17th and 18th. These two drivers not taking time. Get the voice chatter out of here. I do believe I need to do that. Fortunately, I have it muted, but I don't need that on my screen. All right. Grid music out of here. And pace car, one pace lap here at the 1.5 mile Kansas Speedway. For those unaware, it's every track 1 mile or longer, I do believe, that iRacing decides to do single pace lap before the green flag. The pace car will turn down. Wylazinski will be in control of the field here.
Green flag,
Here he
green
goes.
flag.
Solid launch for Dylan. They're going to get lined up on the bottom. You're going to see cars already hop into the apron. Kirkwood among them. Thurman's going to line up on the bottom in the 5th spot, I believe. Or is that Wetz? I believe that's now Wetz. Wetz has rolled into the 5th spot. Kirkwood just ahead of him. They're going to head down the back straightaway. Single file. They know the name of the game here tonight, and it's going to be track position and keeping it all night long. Chris Wetz. He worked the high side at Atlanta, I believe, not all that long ago. He's fallen a couple spots back. He's back behind Thurman now, rolling that bottom lane. You see Ty Keela working the high side a bit further on back in that Lucky Charms machine. He's the first one on the outside. I believe that's going to be a car in the wall. Not quite sure who that is. We're staying up near the front of the field. No caution just yet. Oh, car around into the wall.
Yellow flag is out.
That's going to be Thurman. We'll have to see what happened to Thurman. He might have had some contact from behind as they transitioned onto the apron there. get a quick look at that. We're going to rewind the camera, get it onto Mr. Thurman. He's already in the pit lane, but let's see what happened to him. We'll get on board, or maybe even a bit closer here. We'll get just outside of Thurman here. So they're coming off of turn number 4, heading back towards the front straightaway. He gets nice and low off the corner, hugging that white line. They'll head down the front straightaway here. They're going to all transition to the apron. Thurman's down. Oh, and I think he got loose all on his own. That transition to the apron just enough to upset the car to the point where it's shot to the outside wall, and I believe Thurman's going to be the only one involved in this wreck. Everybody else able to get on around him in our field tonight. That'll bring out our first yellow on lap number 3. And we will catch back to the front of the field here. Waiting for the pace car, it looks like. Got a Rogue Racing fan in chat. Good to see the large plethora of drivers on tap here tonight. Having some support in the crowd. See if they can continue to work their way through the field as this race continues. So first caution of the night. We are currently working lap number 4 behind the pace car. Brian Campbell has a black flag. Not quite sure where that came from. Let's see if we can find Mr. Campbell. He's in the pit lane. Wonder if maybe he sped down the pit lane, or not seeing any other reason he would have acquired this black flag. Maybe not quite sure. That's going to be a rough start there for Mr. Campbell. It looks like he's going to be attempting to get back on the track. We'll see. Kyle Clenworth's in the pit lane. Campbell's coming off of it. We're back to the field here. Pace car, I believe the lights will come off this time. They do. Means Wylazinski will be back in control of the field. Andrew Hamilton will line up behind him just ahead of Jason Goodman, Indy Kirkenbauer, Chris Wetz, Chris Fletcher, John Corwin, Ryan A. Brown, Matt Glenn, and Ty Keela will round out the top 10. The rest of the drivers, 11th through 17th, are still on the track in some capacity. We'll keep an eye on the situation with Mr. Campbell with his black flag. I believe he's going to have to serve that as soon as this race gets going. Once more, I want to thank Whiplash Shipcams for providing the cameras here tonight. It's been a minute since we've shouted them out here on Indy Next coverage, but each and every week we've been doing our best with the Whiplash cams, bringing you all the action here between both the road courses and the ovals here on P1. Drivers lining up right alongside the wall here, ready to get back under green. Hopefully we get ourselves a nice long green flag run. See if these drivers are able to make anything happen here. Wylazinski's going to launch. Everybody's going to the apron. Chris Wetz a bit further back. He's going to be the first car kind of gapped away by these front 4, we'll call it. We'll watch the field off of turn number 2 now. Everybody along the bottom here. Gonna watch everybody come off turn number 4, hop to the apron in this lead pack. Oh, Wylazinski's disappeared. That's not good. We'll see if he comes back. It looks like he's coming in and out. Not quite sure. Hamilton, typing and scoring is having all sorts of issues. Okay, Wylazinski's back up here. We'll watch from Hamilton's car on the camera, just in case something odd happens there again. Everybody's starting to reel back in this top 4, though. Tyler D. Villamere, Mendezabal will set the fastest lap of a 27.846. He's probably got the huge draft at the tail end of this train. We're going to see Chris Wetz hop to the high side. That's going to let Chris Fletcher to his inside, but it looks like Wetz is going to try to mount a charge on Indy Kirkwood for the 4th spot on the outside. Bunch of cars transition to the apron. Chris is staying up high. Is he going to make something happen here? I don't think so. Fletcher's going to be to his inside now. Kirkwood staying nice and low. Wetz being the only one willing to work that high side. Ty Keela's going to try to come with him. You're certainly not going to gain spots just running in a line, so there's no huge risk if you're willing to take a chance and go backwards a little bit on the outside lanes here. Everyone's staying nice and even keel on the bottom, more or less. You got 3 cars working that outside lane. That's going to be Wetz, Keela, and I believe that's going to be Brant McClendon at the tail end of this line. So 2x2 further back, but we're starting to get a little bit of separation back towards the front of the field, ever so slightly. Ty Keela's going to work his way back into the bottom lane. He runs 9th. He's made up 1 spot since the restart. Now a quarter way through the race, every car back onto the apron, barring Wetz and McClendon, I believe. That might be Mendezabal. I believe that's who that is. Everybody going to roll on around. Once more. Complete lap number 12. Just over a quarter of the way through this race. No major moves being made at this point. Wetz is still on that outside lane trying to make something happen, but I don't think he's got quite the momentum build up he did off the restart. It's kind of lost its luster as the train on the bottom has gathered steam. That'll put Ty Keela alongside him. That'll move Keela up to 8th. Assuming this train continues. Why Lazinski, your leader, over Andrew Hamilton in the 2nd spot. Jason Goodman runs 3rd. Kirkebauer, Fletcher, Corwin Brown, Ty Keela, and Wetz are side by side for the 8th spot. Matt Glenn runs in 10th. Raul Mendezabal is 11th. Crash Neon in 12th. Brant McClendon in 13th. Tyler D. Villamere 14th. And Kyle Clenworth is 15th. 4 seconds back from the leader, back with Mr. Baker in the 16th spot. Brian Campbell is 1 lap down, and Taylor Thurman still serving a meatball flag in the pit lane. Lazinski back all the way up near the grass. Hamilton hot in tow here. Working ever closer to the halfway point. Bit of a bobble here for Hamilton. Try to ride on board with the number 2 machine of Mr. Ty Keela back in this field. He's probably got the most going on around him as he's got Chris Wetz to his outside. We'll hop on board with him. Heading off into turn number 1 now. Real close to that white line. Bit of a bobble there. He's going to stay right up on Ryan Brown ahead of him here. You can hear Chris Wetz to the outside here. There's his car peeking into the screen. Wetz in that all-white number 4 machine. He's garnered a little bit of momentum on the high side when the bottom lane kind of checks up, especially on corner entry. Not really hearing much of a lift out of these cars until they get right up on the back of the car ahead of them, and that's allowing Wetz to maybe stay flat foot, garner a bit of momentum. He's going to start working his way forward now as he's alongside Ryan Brown for the 7th spot. See if he's able to keep mounting that charge on the outside lane. We'll ride one more time around here with Mr. Keela. I believe that's going to be Crash Neon or Matt Glenn, one of the two, to our outside that we're hearing. Wet's still working the high lane. He's trying to make something happen. Hats off to him. He's been committed to working that high lane pretty much every lap here tonight. Rolling the bottom for Mr. Keela. We'll hop back outboard on the field as they head off turn number 2. Hop back towards the front with Wylazinski still in the lead. Wetz has got help from Matt Glenn behind him. And I believe there's going to be one more car. That's going to be Raul. Not Raul. Who we got at the back of this line now? I believe that's going to be Tyler D. Villamere at the end of this train. Not quite. Let's see if we can figure out who that is. It's going to be Brant McClendon on the outside lane there. He's the 3rd car in line there. And then Raul Mendezbal is working the inside of him. Crash Neon's got Tyler D. Villamere to his outside, I believe. We'll hop back towards the front once more. We're just past the halfway mark. So we'll get 2 laps to go here. 19 of them left on offer. We'll see if there's going to be any major moves made from anybody here in the field. Wet's the only one really working any other lane but this bottom one all the way around. I think that having a bit more help pushing him along has helped in some regards, but he's lost the track position to some extent. It's back to 8th. Was running as high as 7th or 6th, I believe. So Wylazinski still holding the bottom. Hamilton inches ever closer lap after lap. Gap kind of builds up heading off into turn 3 and 4. Builds back up on the straightaways. Bottom lane has pretty much stabilized here. Kyle Clenworth and Jesse Baker off in the distance there have not been able to make any headway on this train of cars ahead of them. So we are done with coverage this week. After this race here tonight, we will move to next week being our... Oh, big crash!
Yellow flag.
Talk about timing. I believe that's going to be Ryan Brown involved. Chris Wetz is involved. I believe that's going to be the main 2 machines we see back here. We'll have to see if anybody else is involved with damage here. We'll hop to Ryan Brown's machine, get a bit closer to it as we get onto the replay. So we're we've already got the wreck going. So Wetz, contact from behind, I believe. We'll rewind this ever so slightly just to get a better look at it. So contact made from the bottom. Might have been a bit of netcode between Wetz and Brown. Ty Keela's involved. The number 9 machine, that's going to be McClendon. Might have taken a hit of it as well. But those are going to be airborne IL-15, something we've seen a couple too many times, even just this week here on P1. Don't think Dallara wants their cars turning into airplanes, but we've seen a couple more here tonight. So that's going to be night over for Ryan A. Brown and Chris Wetz. We'll hop back to the front of the field with Wylazinski, who's having trouble once more with showing up on our screen. There he is. So 15 laps to go here. It'll be 14 after they cross the stripe here. Wylazinski, not sure what's happening with him, but his car does not seem to want to stay on the course. For brief instances here tonight. So lights are still on the pace car. We'll go around one more time, I believe, following this lap. Get back going here. So this will give Kyle Clenworth and Jesse Baker an opportunity to get back in this race. See if they can make any sort of moves with the field. Lights will go out on the pace car. I do believe we will go green this next time around. Lights are indeed out. So you got Wylazinski, Hamilton, Goodman, Kirkenbauer, Fletcher, Corwin, Glenn, Keela, McClendon, Neon, Mendenzabal, Villamere, Clenworth, and Baker all on the lead lap. Brian Campbell 1 lap down after having to serve that black flag. He'll run in 15th, last car on the track. Wetz and Brown involved in the most recent incident, bringing out this yellow, and Taylor Thurman out early due to a spin on lap number 3. We will round turn number 4. It will be back in control of Dylan Wylazinski. We'll move up to him. He'll launch here now.
Green flag, green flag.
See if anybody's going to make a move here. Oh,
out.
Yellow's out. It's going to be Jesse Baker among those involved. I believe that's Crash Neon in the grass. See if we can get a look at what happened to Crash a bit closer up to him. We'll rewind the tape here. Oh, he's in the wall. So we'll move a bit closer to the restart here. He's got the 18 machine of Raul Medezabal behind him. Oh. We'll catch that back up. So Medezabal's right behind him, makes contact with Neon, sends Neon into the wall. Medezabal then hits the 11 machine of Villamere, sends Neon down the track. Fortunately, the 17 machine of Jesse Baker is able to make it through, I do believe. But that's going to be another couple cars with issues. Brian Campbell's got another black flag, I'm suspecting due to some sort of restart violation due to the number of cars involved in this incident before the start-finish line. Rough night for drivers deep in this field here tonight. That'll be Crash Neon with a meatball flag. Brian Campbell has to serve another black flag. If he wasn't out of contention, he's definitely out of contention now. Neon's going to try to limp his car as many laps around here as he can, I believe. But we've caught the pace car. We'll come to 10 to go here this time. And we will see if anything can happen in the last quarter of this race. Barring the opening couple laps, it doesn't seem like there's been a ton of motion through the field without cars being collected in some sort of incident. Unfortunate breaks for a number of guys outside the top 10 now, I believe. Number of them are likely receiving repairs and will get back on the track. Kyle Clenworth's the last one on course right now, I believe. The rest of them either in the pit lane or out of the event. So I believe the lights will come off the pace car this time. We'll be left with 9 laps. I believe 8 once we get going green. We'll see if anybody can make a power play here late in the going. Kyle Clenworth opted to take tires, as has Jesse Baker. Tyler D. Villamare's on fresh tires, as well as Raul Medezabal. We'll see if they are able to do anything with those. Not sure quite how much of an impact that's going to have at the big track here in Kansas. But if you're already down that far in the field, what is there to lose? Votive Racing League owner Shane Coker chiming in. iPacing is real. We've gotten ourselves a couple yellows here tonight, that's for sure. Unfortunate circumstances for real. But we'll hopefully be able to get the last couple laps here clean and steady. Lights are out on the pace car. Wylazinski will get handed control of the field off turn number 4 momentarily. And we will see who can make anything happen here in the closing stages. We are off.
Green, green, green.
Here comes Wylazinski back to the line. Solid restart for Hamilton behind him. We'll see if he can garner some momentum here. He's going to look high. Maybe try to use that to build a bit more speed heading down the backstretch here. You've got Goodman hot in tow. Kirkenbauer is going to be the first car that reaches them if anything happens. He runs 4th. Chris Fletcher's in the 5th spot. Go stay locked to the lead battle. Kirkenbauer is going to look high, look back low. Fletcher has caught the back of them. The rest of the field will start to come into the picture here. So we're still working that bottom lane. Wylazinski over Hamilton, over Goodman. Kyle Clenworth runs 9th just behind his Rogue Racing teammate in the 8th spot. Solid runs for those guys tonight after starting deep in this field. See Brian Campbell rejoining the field after serving yet another black flag for him. That's the second one that we mentioned earlier. He'll shuffle hopefully into line behind this pack here. Clenworth's going to make the pass for the 8th spot on Ty Keela. Not quite. So here's Clenworth running in 9th, just behind Ty Keela. Matt Gland's working that outside lane. Back to the front of the field, you got Wylazinski still at the point. He started on the pole. He stayed here all night. Not an uncommon sight here this season. He's going to hold it nice and low. Hamilton right on the back of him. Goodman there or thereabouts for Hamilton. Now we've got ourselves 4 laps remaining as they come off of turn number 2. Bit of a bobble further back in the pack. I believe that's Keela on the bottom. Matt Gland is now pushing Kyle Clenworth on the outside lane. See if Clenworth can do anything. He's going to start to garner some momentum, I think, on Corwin on that low lane. We've lost Wylazinski again. We'll get to Hamilton. 3 laps to go. We'll be coming to 2 to go. Wylazinski's there. Might have been netcode contact heading into turns 3 and 4 there. Fortunately, everybody stays pointed straight. Here they come 2 more times. They'll be taking the white flag this next time around. Wylazinski struggling to stay on the track once more. There he is again. Hamilton's right there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see photo finish here tonight. White flag's in the air. Kirkenbauer gets shot up the track. Big wreck behind. We stay green. Wylazinski's around. Hamilton's around. Everybody's crashing. Who's going to survive it? Kirkenbauer's going to take the lead going into turn number 3. And after nearly being sent into the wall in turns 1 and 2, Indy Kirkenbauer is going to come away with the victory here tonight. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. I don't know who all was involved in that, but we'll hop with Wylazinski's machine and try to catch the replay on that a bit closer to the field. Ooh. See if we can actually find Andrew Hamilton. So here's Hamilton. We can't see Wylazinski. There's Wylazinski. Indy gets pushed up in 1 and 2. Likewise, behind him, I believe that's going to be Villemere. They crash behind. That's going to include Matt Glenn, the one machine of Kyle Clenworth, and I believe that's going to be Jesse Baker. No. So then Wylazinski gets sent around off the nose of Hamilton. Then you've got 2 more cars, and Indy Kirkenbauer just squeaks on the bottom. Manages to shoot the car back onto the track here. We'll try to see if we can ride on board with Wylazinski's machine. He's already around there. We'll ride from the cockpit camera. He's bobbling in 1 and 2, or off of 2 there. He's down on the apron, gets spun around into the wall. Number of other cars involved, so we'll see who all made it to the stripe here in our event. So, that all being said, let's run through our finishing lineup. And it will be Indy Kirkenbauer, the points leader, taking a victory on the final lap following absolute carnage. Brand McClendon will finish 2nd. Chris Fletcher in 3rd. Tyler D. Villemere in 4th. Andrew Hamilton will finish 5th. Raul Medezabal will finish 6th. Jesse Baker will be 7th. Matt Glenn in 8th. Despite crashing out in turns 1 and 2, he managed to get his car across the line. Ty Kilo will finish 9th, I do believe, as he's still on the course. You can actually find his machine in the background here. He's heading down the pit lane and has parked it. I believe that car is crab walking. I believe Wylazinski will finish 10th then. We move back to 11th. That's going to be Jason Goodman. John Corwin will finish 12th. Clenworth in 13th. Brian Campbell 14th, 2 laps down. Crash Neon 8 laps down in 15th. Chris Wett 16th. Ryan Brown in 17th. And Taylor Thurman in the 18th spot of 18. And I believe we're going to have at least somebody in here for interviews. I believe we've got Chris Fletcher and Indy Kirkenbauer. Try to get Chris's car on the screen here. So you can find his machine out on the course. There's Chris. We'll get him on up here. Chris Fletcher, Jacob Collins, PY Broadcasting. You got me?
Yeah, I got you, Jacob.
Well, it seems like that race came down to being essentially out of trouble on the final lap. Kind of talk us through that very treacherous final lap as you made it here onto the podium here tonight.
To be perfectly honest, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I ended up pulling a wheelie there down the backstretch for a little bit of it, and somehow got through and finished 3rd. So, I'll take it. That's for sure.
Looked like another kind of classic race we've seen so far this season on the 1.5 mile tracks here in Indy NXT competition. Everybody wanted to stay as close to the inside of the track as possible. Was it another classic ride and wait and just hope that there was some sort of attrition that'd come your way, or was there anything you felt you could do at any point throughout this event tonight?
Yeah, it was pretty much the classic. Me and Indy were just talking, and we were in line there for most of the race. Just kind of hoping something would, work itself out, but it just never did. And the runs just, you could try to go to the outside, but halfway down the straightaway, you'd be freight train. So just kind of a follow in line and hope something happens.
Well, certainly things happened very, very quickly here at Kansas. It seemed to be all kind of off of turn 2, heading down the back straightaway. It became the hot ticket item for you to get onto the podium here tonight. If there's anybody you want to shout out here, Chris, floor is yours.
Yeah, of course. Thanks to you guys for putting these things up. It's always nice to go back and watch these broadcasts. And my teammates Dustin Bulgren and John Corwin, of course, and then my fiance Kelly. She's always rooting for me. So, thank you.
Well, thank you for turning out week in and week out here, Chris. We'll hope to catch you next week for our season finale at Homestead.
Will do. I'll be there.
And that is Chris Fletcher, your third place finisher here tonight. And we will bring up the winner here in Indy Kirkenbauer. Well, Indy, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting, you got me?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, despite qualifying maybe a bit lower down the field than you liked, you managed to escape the chaos on the final lap and come out with another win, likely helping you on the way to the championship here in 1 week's time. Talk us through that final lap.
Yeah, I hopped up to the high side because I just wanted to be on the podium, and I thought that was my best chance. And I was to hop up there with Clendy, and I was hoping if Clendy could. I was in the Discord with Clendy, and I was seeing if he could push me. That was all my mind was on until the 13 hit me in the middle of the corner, and I thought, and I was initially pretty mad about that, but it turned out to be the best thing that could have possibly happened to me. I mean, I just got so lucky. In 4th place the entire race pretty much, after a pretty good start. Yeah, but I was just really worried about starting 6th. I only did 1 Q-term run, which I should have done way more. And I was worried about starting 6th because I knew that outside is just not as good. And you'll just tank, and luckily Chris didn't have the greatest start, so I was able to slot in line. And yeah, I mean, and then once he hit me, I just saw, I knew that the 5 was glitching, and I knew that's always sketch, even though that's not his fault, of course. And then he tried to get on the inside of him on the last lap, and it didn't work out. And then I just saw it, and I just hooked a hard left, and I made it through somehow.
Yeah, it took quite the ride heading off into turn number 3, kind of bouncing up on the apron. You know, it's crazy just how quickly those things kind of change in an instant. You're falling back, maybe flying up the track closer to the wall, and then suddenly you're flying down the back straightaway, passing cars all over the place just due to the chaos that's unfolding. So ultimately, kind of the textbook Indy NXT 1.5 mile race we've seen so far this season. Not too much more to key up on that. So if there's anybody you want to shout out here tonight, Indy, floor is yours.
Yeah, my go-kart sponsors are Fremont Functional Fitness, BG Emery and Associates, The Alley and Clyde Make Something on YouTube, Forkball Pizza Palace, and Bayside Heating and Cooling. And thanks for putting on the broadcast. Thanks for everyone watching. That was a crazy last lap. And yeah, that was. I think I should be able to get the title wrapped up now. So yeah, that's great. I'll still be there next week. But yeah, just great Indy NXT to be able to win this without confirm, but it should be. Just to be able to do even just so good in this series in the first year is nice. And I know we got a way better schedule coming out for next year. So I'm really excited for next year in this series. And yeah, be there next year as well. This is super fun. Love this car when it's on a short track, not on these bigger ones. But yeah, excited for
Well,
next year and good season.
Yeah, we'll hopefully catch you next week for the season finale and hopefully crown you champion, all things considered. You've put up quite the season so far, and hopefully you can wrap it up next week and head off into next year right where you want to be.
Yeah, thanks. I completed my goal of being the oldest ever Indy NXT Oval champion. So I think that's
Oldest.
pretty cool. Only one.
Oh, yeah,
I
fair
always-
enough.
Whenever I win something, I'm always the youngest to win that. Now I can be the oldest.
Well, if you want to be the youngest, you're going to have to beat around, what, 14? Is that...
Yeah.
All right. Well, you could take up the gauntlet next year if you want to come into Indy NXT Oval Series competition. You want to be the youngest Indy NXT Oval Series champion. You can do so next season. Thanks for coming in, Indy. We'll hope to catch you each and every week here at Indy NXT competition.
Yeah, thanks for putting these on. I know it probably wasn't that exciting until the last lap, so yeah, thanks for putting these on.
Have a good one, Indy.
Yep, you too.
And that will be Indy Kirkenbauer, and that will do it here for us on P1 tonight and this week. We'll be back next week with the Indy Open Series at 7 p.m. Eastern Time next Monday from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval, followed up by the Indy NXT Road Series at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. They'll take on Sebring, and then we'll be back here Tuesday night with the IndyCar Oval Series top split doubleheader from the iRacing Super Speedway at 7:15, and I believe the other race will take place at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be sandwiched right in between there. Indy NXT from Homestead, Miami, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the broadcast here tonight. We had ourselves quite an interesting finish here, all things considered. And to all those that do the difficult jobs around the world, we want to thank you for all that you do and allowing us to do all the fun things that we do here around the world. Have a good night, everybody.